Here, we're going to talk a quick walkthrough on the East Coast Property Maintenance High-Low skid. We have our ladder rack system on our short bed skid, side mount toolbox. We have some hoses in here that are for the transfer pump. We have our booster pump, Dayton booster pump supplied by the customer here. We have our selector valve that allows us to choose between SH and water for the proportioner. Up in here we have our priming valve that is part of our recirculating kit that we put on the booster pumps to protect them, similar to a pressure washer unloader. We have our transfer pump, the controls for the transfer pump. Coming around on the side here, we have our proportioner system. We have a 12-inch Titan electric reel, which is controlled right here by the switch. Our 12-inch Titan hand crank reel with 250 feet of Currytech ag hose that's used for applying with the booster pump. 8 gallon a minute water dragon high-low hot water skid. Coming around the side here, you'll see we have an 18-inch Titan reel with 100 feet of garden hose on it. This is hooked up to a Hudson float valve, 100-gallon water tank. On this valve here, this valve is used for priming the booster pump and for filling the tank. When we put the valve down, it's actually going to go to the Hudson float valve here to fill it up, and when we turn it up like this, it's going to force feed the booster pump that we use for priming. What you're going to do before you start priming the booster pump, you're going to turn this down. Make sure you have about 6 or 8 inches of water in your 100-gallon tank before you start priming. At that point, you'll be ready to prime. You're going to turn your valve over to force feed the booster pump. We have our 55-gallon bleach tank, and then we have a 7-gallon water tank down here on the side, as well as a drain for the 100-gallon tank. So we set that valve to force feed our booster pump. We're going to come over here, and I'm going to show you how to prime the booster pump. Right now, you see the selector valve here. I'm only going to show you this once, but you have SH and water. We're going to start with it priming the SH, and I'm going to turn that later to prime the water as well. Okay, on the top of the booster pump here, we have a valve, and there's a little arrow on. You can't really see it, but this is pointing this way. When it's pointing this way, it's actually drawing from the proportioner. When I turn it back like this, it's actually drawing from the garden hose. So we're going to draw from the garden hose. Our regulator is set, but by backing this up or loosening this up, all you got to do is turn this little knurled nut here. You can actually back this up and reduce your pressure, or tighten it down and increase your pressure. The booster pump, not this particular model, I believe boosts by about 100 psi, but it's going to take your inlet pressure and boost it by about 100 psi to give you your output. We're going to come over here. We're going to take our low pressure valve hose and trigger gun here. I'm going to pull a little bit out so you can kind of see. What I'll do is I'll actually squeeze this trigger, and it's not hooked up right now, but we'll squeeze this trigger to allow the water and the air to escape. I'm going to come back over here. I have it turned to the water. I plug this in, turn my booster pump on, and what I'm going to do then is it being force fed from the garden hose, it's going to force all the air out of the system. Once the air is out of the system, I'm going to take this valve and I'm going to turn this valve up on top here that you can see. I'm going to turn it so it's drawing from the proportioner. At that point, what it's going to do is it's going to draw directly out of the proportioner. We'll have our water valve open up all the way like that, and we're going to draw it. And what's going to happen is the pressure is going to drop because it's bringing in air. You're going to come back over to this valve again. You're going to turn it back to being force fed from the garden hose. While you're holding the trigger, you're going to wait about another, I'm going to put a little more hose out here. You're going to wait about another 10 or 15 seconds while you're squeezing this trigger here. Then you're going to turn it again back to the proportioner. You can actually, if you look at the lines inside here, you'll actually see it pull the water in. Once you see it's got water in, then there's no more air in the line, you can actually shut that one off. We'll do that same process for the detergent. We'll just turn it up all the way. And what I recommend doing is filling all the tanks with a little bit of water first to prime it, then add your chemicals and things like that. That way you're not wasting a lot of detergent or spraying bleach when you're trying to prime. So then we'll do the same process. We'll turn it back to the proportioner. We'll let it spray. Once the pressure drops down to we're not sucking any more fluid in, we're going to turn it back again over the valve again here to being force fed from the garden hose, and then back again. And then we got our detergent prime. Same thing with the SH valve. We'll turn it up all the way. We'll start by forcing the air out of the line with the garden hose and the booster pump running. Then we're going to go back again, turn the valve back, try to draw the bleach in, and we'll do that. And then we're going to come back over to the valve I showed you before, and we're going to do that same process for the water line. Once everything is primed, we will be ready to start using it to apply. So Once I got all the valves primed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to the garden hose, force feed, get everything out of the line, all the last air. It might take about 30 seconds to a minute and a half, depending on how much air and everything you got in there. I would probably run it for about a minute, get everything out of the line, turn it to your proportioner. You're going to come back over to your proportioner here, and we're going to set our dials to what we want. And the way these dials work is you're going to turn your water up all the way. You can see there's numbers written on the dial here, and that's going to tell you your recommended percentages of what you want to use for cleaning. Now this has got the old sticker, we're going to change that out, but on the sticker itself it'll give you some recommended ratios. So let's just say I want to start at I'm going to do a roof and I want to start at a 4% mix. I'm going to turn this, you can see the little nub there, I'm going to turn it to about 4%. I'm going to set my detergent anywhere between 3 and 6 is typically where it's going to be. I'm going to set it at 4 because I want a good surfactant grip, something like Dragon Grip or Secret Agent or Agent Green. Any one of those products would be a really good surfactant for you for your cleaning. I'm going to clean my roof just like I normally would. Now when I'm done cleaning the roof, I'm going to come down and wash the house, but I only want a 2.5% mix, let's say, on my house. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and I'm going to set my mix to 2.5%. I'm going to squeeze my trigger. I'm going to turn my detergent up all the way. I'm going to count to 5. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Then I'm going to turn it right back to where I was around 3 or 4, and I'm going to continue to spray. And you can continue to spray that mix on the house or the ground or wherever you want. What it's going to do is it's going to put a marker in the line, and what's going to happen is you're going to see a big glob of soap all of a sudden appear in your mix. And that's your marker to know that everything after that point has already been changed and you have a lower percentage or a lower mix or whatever the current settings are. You can continue to spray with that, and when you're done, what you want to do is you want to make sure you flush this out at the end of the day. So I'm going to come back over to the valve on the side here that allows me to choose between my SH and water, and I'm going to turn it from SH down to water. I'm going to come back over here, I'm going to shut my detergent off, and I'm going to turn my SH up all the way just to help flush it. Leave my water up all the way, and then I'll continue to spray and rinse. And you'll notice that once all the suds are out of the line, that let you know that you are completely on water. And you can use that for rinsing the surfaces or whatever you want to do, but you want to make sure you flush it out. When you're done at the end of the day, you're just going to shut your valves off, make sure your booster pump is shut off, wrap everything up, and you're all done. You can also use your pressure washer for rinsing and general cleaning as well. So this is the high-low skid by Power Wash Store, 855-351-9274, or visit us at powerwashstore.com.